Okay.
Hello, Hank.
Hi, Beulah.
How are you? How are you doing?
Hey, oh yeah, now I recognize you much better than before. Yeah, I'm fine. I think everything is in order, and I got connection with you, so Zoom works.
Okay, lovely. We're just waiting. We're just waiting for the other panelists to join us, and we will get going with the program just a minute or two after 11. And like we said, I will be managing your presentation from my side.
Yeah. Okay. So I start talking. I see the first slides. Start talking, and we'll ask you go to the next. That's the way we work then.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay. Other question, Beulah. How long will this take? This webinar?
It's from 11 to 1 o'clock, so it's 2 hours.
Oh, it's 2 hours. Okay.
Okay.
I had a small contact with Ed Heinen as well yesterday afternoon.
Yes.
And he said he will join the meeting as well, the webinar.
Yes, he's confirmed his participation.
And I got how you say that, an overview. Do you have, will all the panelists be there?
Yeah, we actually, at the moment, it's yourself and Dr. Ngwenya who've already joined. We're waiting for 2 more panelists to join us.
Yeah. And so I can see you, but I can't see the others. This is the first time I work with Zoom, so I wonder how it goes. You will
be able to see them when their video is on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Akona, I see the name Akona showing up.
Yeah. Akona is my technical support. So you will see him on the screen, but he's not a panelist. He's the technical support.
Yeah, okay. But I do know Akona.
Yes, you do know Akona.
Yeah. I think, can you see me okay, or should I blind the screen in the window a little bit more?
I can see you well. Akona, on your side?
I can see you very well. Good morning, Hank. There are no issues. We can see you very well. So I mean, if you're comfortable the way that you are sitting, it works very well for us.
Okay, now then when I see myself in this little corner or little rectangle, I think it might be that the sunlight from behind is disturbing a little.
Okay, no, everything is fine.
Okay.
I'm just going to stop my video for now and just check on the other guys, how they are coming along with their logging in.
Okay, excellent. Within a while. Ik ga er toch even wat doen.
Hi, Beulah. Apologies for the technical glitch. Beulah, can you hear me? Akona?
Yes, we can hear you very well, Doc.
Okay, that's fine. I was trying to use a different device, but it wouldn't join in. But anyway, I'll use this one. That's fine.
Okay, perfect. As long as you can hear us, we can see you and hear you. So we're just waiting for a few minutes for people to come on board. With the official start is 11, so feel free to just maybe mute from your side and stop the video from your side up until we start.
Yes, I will do that. I just want to check, the sharing of the screen, if that works, if it's okay with you.
Yes, we may.
I'll just, okay. So you have to give me the allowance. It says the host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Okay, let me just try again. Okay, could you, it's still telling you that you can't screen share.
Yeah.
Okay, what we'll do is that we'll just try and run your presentation.
You might have to maybe make me a co-host, if that is possible.
Right, yeah. Let me try and allow you to share your screen.
Yeah.
It's not allowing me to co-host you.
Is it?
What we can do is that Beulah will be able to run your presentation from her side, but let me just log in directly online and let me see if I'm able to just open up the screen share for you.
Yeah.
All right. Give me a few minutes.
Because Beulah has my presentation. So let me see. Okay, so the co-host doesn't work. Okay.
Ankona?
Yes.
When you go to share screen, does it give you option to allow sharing with panelists?
This is what we were trying to do just now because Doc was struggling. Well, because it's not allowing her to share her screen from her side. It simply says that I'm not allowing her, so I need to allow her quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll just try to figure it out in the interim.
Okay, perfect. I'll mute myself in the meantime.
Sure.
No.
Good morning and welcome everyone. We will be starting the webinar in 3 minutes time. So as we allow people to start logging in, coming through the waiting room, we will then get on with the program in just a few minutes time. So hang tight.
Can you hear me now, Abdullah?
Yes, Hank, I can hear you. We will be starting in about 3 minutes time. So in the meantime, you can mute your mic.
Sorry, say the last one you said?
You can mute your mic.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Now I know how it works.
Good morning and welcome to everyone. I see our participants are starting to come through and get onto the platform. I would like to welcome all of you onto our Agri-preneur webinar today in partnership with PUM and Associates Gauteng Agriculture Department. We will get going with the program for the day. The format is that we have 4 panelists. We will go through the program, and our participants will have an opportunity to ask questions at the end. But in the meantime, during the presentations by the different panelists, you have a tab at the bottom of your screen, Q&A. You can post your questions in that space, and we will endeavor to provide you answers where we can, and also give the panelists an opportunity to address the questions that you will be raising. So please use that space. Whatever questions you have, we welcome all of them and look forward to your interaction. To get the program going, the webinar itself, we have looked at what is the space of agriculture looking like, especially for young agripreneurs. What are the challenges, and what are the partnerships that are necessary to empower those that are entering into this space, looking for development and growth. And hence we're talking agri-preneurship development partnerships. On our panel today, we've got Dr. Hlami Ngwenya, an agriculture development specialist. We've got Mr. Motlajo Magaipia, Chief Director for Agriculture Development at the Department of Gauteng Agriculture and Rural Development. We also have a vegetable growing expert, Mr. Heik Heidsma from the Netherlands, who's one of the PUM experts that have been visiting South Africa and have been supporting various farmers both in Gauteng and other provinces. And we also have a young farmer, Mr. Mo Mulimi. Some of you might know him for his music talents as a rapper and a hip hop artist, but he's also a farmer, and he will be sharing with us his experiences in being a farmer and how he brings his music flair into his business. So with that, I would like to introduce to you Dr. Hlami Ngwenya, who's going to be our first presenter. She's a South African-born global citizen. I've come to know her as someone that engages with various platforms on agriculture, but from a different perspective than farming. And so this morning, she will be sharing with us one of her concepts around perfect opportunities in agriculture. And just in terms of some of the things that she has done over the 28 years of her global experience in agriculture, she has been moderating various meetings of promoting multi-stakeholder engagements for national and international organizations such as FAO, CFS, and IFED in Rome. She has a PhD in sustainable agriculture, as well as a master's in consumer sciences. So this is a woman that has a wealth of experience in this space, and I would like to invite her now to share with us her concept on perfect opportunities in agriculture. And if you have any questions, again, I would like to ask you to post them on the tab under Q&A so we can then facilitate answers for you. Thank you. Over to you, Hlami.
Thank you very much, Abula, and thank you for the invitation. I will just go straight to my presentation. I will try to share my screen. Okay, Abula, I hope you are able to see that. The title of my talk today is Perfect Opportunities for Unleashing Agri-preneurship Partnership for Inclusive Growth. You'll see that, I'm actually highlighting inclusive growth because this is what I would like to focus on. As Bula has indicated, I have 28 years of work experience in the broader agricultural sector. I have done work in 45 countries, and I have moderated more than 250 multi-stakeholder engagements globally. So as I'll be talking to you, I'm talking to you from this experience that I have gathered over the past 28 years and 20 years working in the agricultural sector. The big question is, am I a farmer? And the answer is a big no. I always say I came to agriculture through the back door, because the narrow perspective of agriculture, it's often seen from the perspective of farming. I'm not a farmer, but I'm making a living in the agricultural sector. What do I do then? Within the agricultural sector, I work and provide services to the policy space, and I work in the education space. I work with researchers, but I also work with the farming communities and farmer organizations and the finance sector, but also extension and advisory services. And, I work a lot in the communication space, including ICTs, and also working with stakeholders within the technology, agriculture technology, and the issues of trade. I would like you to mark this, because at the end, as I proceed with my talk, this provides perfect opportunities that I want to be talking about. Today, as we talk about agri-preneurship, I would like to remind us of the paradox of our development in South Africa. We have 3 worlds in one country, and I'm going to elaborate a little bit at the end of my talk. So basically, we know that South Africa has 3 worlds in one country. We have a very highly developed, we have the second world, and we also have the third world. And unfortunately, it's only a few minority that could claim the space in the highly developed space. Then we have a lot of people in the second world, but the majority of our population are in what I call the third world. And I'll come back to that as we talk about agri-preneurship and partnerships. Why then do we need to talk about perfect opportunities for unleashing agri-preneurship for inclusive growth? I'm not going to bore you about the statistics about the world population. We know that, projections are telling us that the population is growing, and more so in the African continent. And the African continent is also known to be a young continent because we have a lot of young people. The more the population grows, the more we have to feed the people. But also in that space, we also dealing with a number of issues of malnutrition and all that. And these offers both, opportunities and challenges for the agricultural sector. I would like to demystify the word agriculture. As I've indicated, I've been working in the sector for almost, 20 years now, but I'm not a farmer. And unfortunately, when we look at agriculture, we always think of it from the farming perspective. And what I'm advocating for here is for us to go beyond that tunnel view of looking at agriculture, because there are other opportunities within the sector beyond just farming. We need to understand that not everybody is cut for farming. Not every young person who's unemployed and whatever could actually do farming. Farming is a very highly, it's a high skilled, space that needs a lot of passion and all that, but everybody can have a stake in the whole agri-food system. So we need to understand agriculture beyond farming for us to untap, those opportunities and partnerships that we are talking about today. Just this slide talks a little bit about the agri-food system. I'm not going to go into details about it so that I can unpack the perfect opportunities. So where are these perfect opportunities that I'm talking about today? I've just indicated initially that I'm working with the policy, education, research, and all that. So I have used the stakeholders that I work with in the agricultural sector and the kind of work that I do to define it as perfect. So perfect is an acronym. It's acronym for policies, education, research, farming and finance, extension and advisory services, communications, including knowledge management, monitoring and evaluation, and the issues of technologies and trade. All these offers perfect opportunities for young people in agriculture, but it needs different skill sets. Not everybody who has to take, farming activities can better play a role in the policy space. Each and every component needs different, skill set. So these opportunities along the perfect continuum appears, and they're at local level, national level, regional level, continental level, and global level. And these are the levels where I am a key player along the perfect continuum. I'm going to run through the slides, and later on, if you want to know more about the concept, you can contact me so that I can share a bit. But as I'm saying, when you look at the policy space, we are defining the agenda. Here, G stands for global, C stands for continental, R is regional, and N is going to be national. So there are a number of, policy opportunities for young people to engage. But also in terms of education, we also see that. I know the slides are a little bit busy, but I just want to show the number of opportunities that are there. And agriculture more and more getting more organized, and different element of agriculture getting more organized also. Research, I cannot, there are a lot of things that, it's happening in the research space from global, continental, regional, and national level. But also farming that everybody thinks agriculture is all about. I'm not going to say much. But we also have farmer organizations, also at global, regional, national, and as we go through. Finance is a very interesting element. We see a lot of, public finance, private finance, a lot of, foundations, government programs that are also supporting agriculture development. Here it's just, some examples of also some financing institutions along the different levels. But what I want to draw attention is also we see more and more finance institutions through government programs or private sector coming and organize their voice through the Global Donor Platform for Rural Development, everything geared towards agriculture development. We also see a lot of private sector finance partners that are also having an interest in supporting agriculture. Extension and advisory services, I'm looking at my time, I'll just scroll through. But also the extension voice is organized as well at a global level, but also different regional voices and all that. Communications, we more and more see a lot of people platforms, especially the open platforms where people can get a lot of information, PyPad, GDARD, YPad, Research, and all that. But also when you look at we also have African Skill Portal for Youth Employment as part of the African Union Development Agency. Technologies and trade. We talk about the fourth industrial revolution, big data, and all that, but also automation, engineering, genetics, biotechnologies, post-harvest technologies, you name it, farming technologies. My colleague here from the Netherlands will tell us, because they take a lead in terms of precision farming and all those kind of technologies, ICTs and all this. All these offers a lot of opportunities to engage, and also partnerships as we talk about entrepreneurship. As I conclude my talk, the issues of market. We know markets, it's also an issue that is very critical for agriculture. We have a lot of global players, regional players, and we also talk about the current continent free trade that we know. As we look at all these opportunities, I want to remind you again about our development paradox in South Africa. So agri-preneurship partnership today, it presents a lot of untapped opportunities. There are opportunities for strategic partnerships. There are opportunities to leverage on existing programs that are already taking place, so that we complement and have synergy for greater impact. But also there are a lot of opportunities for personal development for young people. There are a lot of platforms, as I've indicated. It's a matter of knowing where to find which information. 80% of the opportunities that I've indicated today are funded from public funds, and they are geared towards our second and third world. What I'm trying to say is that the South African population that belong to the second and third world can also benefit from these, initiatives that I have spoken about. It's a sad reality in South Africa that, we still have, this paradox, and unfortunately, some of the minimum standards that we see are based on the first world, which becomes a form of exclusion for the majority of people who are in the second and third world. So as we talk about, agri-preneurship and partnership, I want us to be mindful of those dynamics in South Africa. We also have to be mindful about, the multiple divides that we are dealing with: racial divide, economic divide, gender divide, and rural-urban divide, so that we can unleash and have, appropriate strategies for different people in the different categories that I have spoken about. And yes, this is also about, our skewed job creation model that we see, that is more based on the standards of the first world, while leaving, the second and the majority of people in our third world, excluded by the initiatives that we put in place. And lastly, for us to think about agri-preneurship partnerships that promote inclusive growth and looking at the perfect continuum, we might have to think outside the box. Thank you very much, Beulah.
Thank you, Kami, for that wonderful presentation. And I believe as we go through today's program, we will notice the different aspects of that perfect opportunity. And this takes us to the next panelist, Mr. Motlatjo Magaipia, Chief Director, Agro-Processing in the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development in the Gauteng province. And so if we are to refer back to what Dr. Ngwenya has just presented on the perfect opportunities, the role of Motlatjo Magaipia as a agro-processing official within the department will be falling under policy, that first key, where strategies, policies, and government strategies are being developed and implemented to support agriculture. So as part of the agri-preneurship wheel and the agriculture wheel, we are now going to be looking at what the government of Gauteng is doing in supporting development, especially that will focus on the second and the third tier of the economic breakdown, the demographics which Dr. Ngwenya just shared with us, showing the different worlds that we live in as South Africa. So with that, I would like to just check, Motlatjo, are you ready for us? I see your mic is still on mute.
Hi, Beulah. Yes, I'm ready, and good day to you and to the panelists and to all the participants. I'm going to load the presentation now. All right. Again, I just wonder if you're able to see the presentation very clearly. Beulah?
Your presentation hasn't shared yet, Motlatjo.
Oh, okay. Just a minute. Are you able to see?
Yes. The only thing.
Okay. No.
Okay. Do you have a screen, another screen on?
Another screen.
It's giving us a double screen.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's the initial one. Let me try and close the other screen.
Great.
Are you still able to see the two screens, or is just one now?
It's in presentation mode. I think we should carry on.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. Let me try and get my video on as well. Okay, good day once again to the panelists, to the host, and to all the participants. My name is Matlacho Makaepia. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do as the department in line with the topic of today of developing entrepreneurs, as well as linking them to various stakeholders and participants across the food chain or agricultural chain in broadly. I will talk about the Agri-Park specifically, and I will zoom a little bit more into the program that we do as the province, which is Agri-Parks that are looking specifically at the vegetable value chain. And I will talk also about how we are addressing the common agricultural problems that we come across that various agricultural key stakeholders experience. So just to start, the first thing is that I want to talk about the mandate of our department. We draw the mandate from the Constitution and the Section 24 and 27 of the Constitution. Specifically, Section 27 is what I would like to highlight, which talks about everyone having the right to food and water. I just want to highlight that particular aspect and zoom into the focus of our department. Our vision is to transform agri-food value chains, to make sure that they are inclusive and sustainable, developed Gauteng region, urban and rural communities in this province having access to well-developed agri-food value chains. So we do this through a focus on the following areas. One is to expand access to agri-food value chain, ensure that there are opportunities of economic inclusion, promote sustainable development, and maximize food security, and promote animal and public health and ensuring food safety. And I'm going to now just talk about the Agri-Parks, which is the key program that, or one of the vehicles that we're using as a mechanism for development of the agri-food value chain in Gauteng. We have a definition of Agri-Park which has been adopted nationally, which is defined as a network of innovation system of agri-production, processing, logistics, marketing, training, and extension services located in a district municipality. And as a network, it enables a market-driven combination and integration of various agricultural activities and rural transformation. So this is an accepted nationally definition of what an Agri-Park is. But I would unpack it a little bit more because there are classifications, there's various categories of Agri-Park and how we relate to it as a department or as a program. So there are three main categories of an Agri-Park. The first one is called a farmer production support unit, and this is an outreach, is a rural outreach connected with an agri-hub. Essentially, if I'm to put it in simple terms, it's a central facility that connects farmers in a spoke and hub kind of model. And a primary collection, It also provides services where farmers can be able to meet. It also provides access to departmental services. Farmers can be able to connect with extension services or animal health experts. And the second level of it is called an agri-hub. And with an agri-hub, we are now looking at a facility where we integrate services such as hiring of tractors, for example, or hiring of a harvester, and more advanced processing facilities as well as agro-logistics. And that also now includes a training component. We have, or Agri-hub is the Rural Urban Market Center. I noticed and had the presentation by Dr. Now, your market intelligence kind of center facility where we are able to then determine where the demand is and when the two. So that is the three components of what an agri-pack is. It draws also from other international classification. There's a number of names that are there that this kind of concept links to. For example, the agro-industrial park, a central managed platform that offers quality infrastructure. So this agri-park is basically there. Agro-corridors, linkage along or leveraging from transport and connectivity of roads and railways. And agro-based clusters, and as well as agro-based special economic zones. As a province, we are working together with stakeholders in the West Rand, the area of Randfontein, as well as in the South Citibank area, to develop special economic zones. But part of their anchor will be agriculture, and those agriculture and logistics. So in the Western, one of the components of that particular special economic zones will also be the Western Fresh Produce Market. And then the other component or the other term that the Agri-Pack links to is the incubation function, agribusiness incubation. So in this particular aspect, we are targeting specifically the youth in townships that do not have access to land and are interested in participating in agriculture. For example, most of the facilities that we have developed as a province are around in the peri-urban of the townships. And we have established these clusters where youth who did not previously have anywhere where they could start cultivating are able to cultivate and aggregate their produce and then be able to supply markets. So that particular aspect of agribusiness incubation is one of the core elements of Agri-Pack. So I just wanted to demonstrate that there is linkage to various synonyms, or one may see them as synonyms like agro-based cluster and agri-corridors and the like. And then our program is linked to 5 priority commodities. So I will speak a lot about the vegetables, but we link to grains as well, to poultry, to piggery, as well as red meat. So these are the primary commodities that the province is developing. And we want to commercialize a number of smallholder farmers along this particular 5 priority value chains. And those farmers that we want to commercialize, we have a measure of how we want to actually commercialize them. So one of the measures would be how they have increased their turnover. And that means moving them from a scale of being a smallholder, which currently would be turning over less than 50,000 or so, to at least 1 million to 10 million, or 10 million to 50 million, or even the mega, which is 50 million and above. So that is the scale upon which we are working on the commercialization program. And Agri-Packs is one of the vehicles then that allows achieving this target of commercializing farmers to be able to be done by the services as well as access to support that they are receiving through Agri-Parks. I just want to show the master plan of the Agri-Parks. We have resolved to have about 12 sites which are the catch, of which have a larger catchment, and the catchment can be a radius of minimum 20 kilometers up to 30 or 40 kilometers. And as I indicated, these are spread out throughout the province to ensure that they cover all the smallholder farmers that can be able to fit into these Agri-Parks. The core operating model of the Agri-Parks is the aggregation model. Each Agri-Park serves as a critical link between markets and the smallholder farmers. So the smallholder farmers in peri-urban areas, community gardens in the townships, they are able to aggregate their produce at these Agri-Parks and be able to leverage on an offtake agreement and then be able to supply. The department has invested in agro-logistics, and it has bought trucks, refrigerated trucks that are now able to assist these farmers who are supplying through these Agri-Parks in the West Rand specifically, as well as in Tshwane. We have made available trucks for vegetables. In the area of Sidibeng, we have supplied farmers specifically. So we've got a farm that is sourcing from other smaller whole piggery farmers, and it's accessing markets. Dreamland Piggery, I think some may be aware of that particular farmer who has got an abattoir as well, and it links very nicely to the formal markets. And then the next aspect which I want to focus on is just to talk a little bit about the value chain of vegetables, which is more at the current moment the anchor of the Agri-Park program as we are unrolling it. We've emphasized this particular value chain specifically because it's able to absorb a lot of players. The entry levels are not so high, and we are able to support more with minimal inputs. So a lot of youth have been benefiting from this initiative, and I'm just going to show now the next. I know this slide is a bit clustered, but what I wanted to show here is that we have got 26 enterprises that are participating and aggregating produce through Agri-Parks. And those 26 have got a total of about 135 participants, of which 79 are women. And we've got youth, a considerable amount of youth there as well that are participating in. And these Agri-Parks, these enterprises, in the West Rand, we've got those that are in the Rand West Agri-Park next to Beggersdal. They have been supplied and assisted with infrastructure, which is a hydroponic tunnel infrastructure. And they've also been assisted. One of the enterprise there is operating a vertical hydroponic tunnels, which is one of the test sites that we developed as a department to promote urban agriculture. With the limitation of space in the province, we need to leverage from urban, from whatever technology that we can that allows us to maximize production within smaller spaces. And vertical hydroponic tunnels was one of the technologies that the department invested in. And we've got a youth co-op that is operating that particular facility and doing very, very well. And then we also have other open shade nets, hydroponic tunnels, conventional hydroponic tunnels. And all in all, we've got 6 cooperatives in the Rand West Agri-Park. And they're supplying Randfontein Spa, they're supplying President Haiba, and some are contracted to the food banks program through the Department of Social Development contractors. And there's an opportunity to actually grow that into an agri-hub as well as link to the special economic zone in the West Rand. So I just have some old pictures of this agri-hub, of this facility. When it hosted the former president sometime back in 2017, and it's kind of doing very well and assisting to really get this co-op. There is a co-op of deaf people there called Voice Out Deaf, and they've also established themselves very well, and now they've got regular markets that are supplying in the West Rand area, and they are doing very, very well. They actually, the leader of that co-op won the female farmer for people with female farmer competition for people with disimpairment. We have a Merafong site as well, which also has got tunnel infrastructure, has got administration facilities where farmers are able to come and meet and then be trained. And there is the focal point for this was initially production of greenery, which is the flowers that basically that you find in between your roses and like that kind of green production. So we then brought in the aspect of diversification, realizing that the market has not been very well, and the co-ops in that particular facility took this particular opportunity very well, and they've been doing well. Of course, part of the challenges that these particular sites are experiencing has been a question of theft. Electricity cables is one of the key targets that we have been experiencing and losing production. So I'm going to just try and move faster. This is the facility for Merafong Agri Park. We have a facility in Talton Agri Park, in Talton, Mohali City, which has been expanded with tunnels, and there at the moment we have got the anchor producer there. An aggregator is a lady called Miss Leah Magwena of Made with Rural, and they're doing quite well. They are able to integrate a lot of smallholder farmers that are producing in that particular area through the partnership with SAB as well. And as the aggregator, it is one of the aggregators that we have supported with a refrigerated truck so that they can be able to link the farmers to the market. And then I will move to Sidibeng, which is the South Vanderbilt area, and Vereeniging as well. There we have got a facility within Sebokeng that has been doing very well and accommodating a lot of co-ops. They've got tunnels, and this is where there is also a strong link with the grain sector, because Sidibeng is a grain area, and farmers in that particular area have been doing very well. So this is the kind of infrastructure that they have on that particular site, and the packaging facility, basic admin and ablution. There is Royval Agri Park. I'm just going to move a little bit faster now, as I'm mindful of the time. And we have got a site at the Innovation Hub, which is orientated towards the agro-processing side, and there's a center of excellence and training for packaging as well as for basic agro-processing. And this is the site that is linked to what we call the biopark in the Innovation Hub. And they've been doing very well in terms of production, that side, and supplying the markets. So this is a packaging facility at the Innovation Hub. I'm not going to go through all the agri-parks. We have a lot, but just to say that through this end, young co-ops that would have previously not been able to participate in market have been able to access markets, and some of the markets that they are accessing includes the fresh produce markets. They are supplying through the market agents on a consistent basis, and unfortunately a lot of them suffered losses during the lockdown, especially those who were producing high-value commodities, high-value crops like cucumbers, lettuces that are normally taken up by the restaurants. But from there, they are moving on, soldiering on and diversifying. We've got those that are supplying Pick and Pay in Protea, in Dlamini, Southgate, Food Lovers Market. We've got those that are supplying Sun Tropica, as I indicated, through various aggregators as well. Randfontein Spa, President Hyper, also state markets, Department of Health and Department of Social Development food banks. So those are some of the spin-offs of this particular program. All in all, the program and the department is trying hard to address a number of these particular challenges. Access to land. The land reform program is kind of overloaded, and we have then leveraged on municipal land as well as some of land reform farms as well to be able to set up some of these young entrepreneurs who would have gone through the program of Agri-Parks. It's also linking to access to inputs. We have got room to develop those who want to do nurseries in the Agri-Parks and those who want to supply inputs. The training, technical knowledge, we've got training facilities in the Agri-Parks in order to ensure that the farmers that are there are able to access the training, and they are able to address the issue of poor production and poor production volumes by consistent training, as well as being able to see practically some of the production that is happening at the Agri-Park site. And then limited to market access through this aggregation aspect and through regular audits such as that we are doing at the Agri-Parks as well as the smallholder farmers sites. We are able to ensure that more farmers become accredited and certified for good agricultural practice, and then they are able to access the markets that have been elusive previously. And then access to finance, we are also linking, and at the moment the program is supported mainly through the Department grant program, but we are moving into a blending program as already communicated nationally, where we will be able to support as well as and support those who are investing more of own resources through a loan kind of motion. And then we also are investing a lot in processing technologies as well as agro-logistics program, as I indicated. I'm going to conclude. We have risks that goes and are associated with the sector. In particular for Agri-Parks, I think vandalism and theft has been one of the key challenges. We have had issues of, because we are aggregating cooperatives, so dynamics between cooperatives has also been an issue, but we have learned a lot in terms of contracting and ensuring that we've got we are building solid secondary cooperative that are able to work together and leverage on inputs as well as access to markets. The issues of basic utilities also remains a problem, water and electricity, and the department sees that as one of its role, working with municipality to make sure that they have basic access to water in municipality. Poor market uptake and some co-ops, the level of commitment differs. So you've got some that are really shining stars that we are even recommending to the National Department Land Reform Program to say these people really deserve to be looked at as part of the application for access to land, bigger farms through Land Reform Program. So so this incubation and spinning off is really taking shape. So I'm just going to have my conclusion slide now. Is that we are seeing this program developing smallholder farmers, and the agricultural value chain in Gauteng. As indicated, we have faced the Agri-Park program, and our emphasis was to start on vegetables. And we're going forward to cap the development of Agri-Parks, these centers to about 10. And then we are strengthening incubation through partnerships with various players. And this is why we are on this platform with PAM as well, because we see PAM as one of the key partners. And then we are continuously engaging and collaborating with the mines, in particular in the West Rand, and the private sector that are involved in the development of the special economic zone that is anchored on agri-food value chain. And we are focused on increasing access to formal markets. But at the same time, we are also taking advantage of the short supply chain that the co-ops are able to benefit by supplying directly into the townships, because currently a lot of produce goes to the fresh produce market in City Deep in Johannesburg, and then goes back to Soweto when it's coming from a closer Agri-Park to Soweto in the West Rand. So those aggregators that we are working with and are able to then draw in even the bucket traders, that those bucket distributors, they have been now channeled to source directly from these aggregation centers, these Agri-Parks that we are working on. So that is my last slide, Chair. There's just some of the media coverage that has been there on the Agri-Parks program in Gauteng. So I would like to stop there. Viola?
Yes, thank you, Mutlajo. And just before we move on to the next presentation, there's a question for you, just to give information on where is the piggery located in Gauteng?
The piggery is in the Vanderbijl Park area. It's Dreamland Piggery. It's owned by a lady called Mrs. Anna Posa. She's an aggregator. She's actually one of the leading commercial dairy farmers in Gauteng, and I would say nationally probably she's one of the top female producers, and she aggregates from other smaller piggery farmers as well. She's one of the aggregators that we are collaborating with, but as part of our support, we have supported with a refrigerated truck that she's able to now take to supply the produce to the market in a proper temperature.
Okay, great. What we will do, we will also share your contact details so that whoever needs to make a follow-up, they can make a follow-up. We'll also have an opportunity to do a wrap-up at the end, where if there are any other questions or follow-up questions, we can address them at that point. Thank you very much for your presentation. And with that, we move on to the next presentation by Henk Heidsma, one of our experts from the Netherlands who specializes in growth of vegetables. And I will be helping Henk with his presentation. So as I'm getting it loaded, Henk, can you introduce yourself?
Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Yes. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the invitation to share this webinar. I'm Henk Heidsma, a long way from you, from the Netherlands. I hope the connection will be okay, and so everybody can hear me very well. In my presentation, I will tell you something about PAM, the organization PAM. The former speaker, Motlatjo, did already mention the name PAM. Thank you for that. And then I go over to some personal experience I've had in visiting South Africa. But we start with PAM. And PAM the target of PAM is creating a positive impact. And it's about to help entrepreneurs who are wanting to make the next step, facing some problems, bottlenecks. And in the Netherlands, within PAM, we have a big pool of experts, mostly retired people like myself, who are experienced in certain, how you say that, specialization jobs. Myself, I'm a managing director of a vegetable seed breeding company, so in agriculture. The idea is then to share knowledge and expertise together with those entrepreneurs and come to vibrant businesses and better lives. Can you go over the next one? A little bit more about PAM then. We work in 35 countries all over the world. In those countries, we have representatives, PAM representatives. Beulah is one of them, and Arcona, also active and involved in this webinar, is the one who is based in the Eastern Cape. But we do have more in South Africa as well. I face some problems here. Oh, please go back, one sheet back. And then we're talking about those experts, volunteers. Everybody is a volunteer within the PAM, except from the people who work in the office in Den Haag and in the Netherlands. PAM is a Dutch-based, Holland-based organization. And those experts are sharing their knowledge and expertise with the people of businesses who apply for help. Thank you. The focus where PAM is focusing on is the small, medium enterprises. And if you go to the right side, you can see, I think, why. Those are making up a large number of the people involved. And also the contribution to the gross domestic product is very big from those small, medium enterprises. And a small, medium enterprises is a company with 11 till 250 employees. It's a source of innovation and contribute to a tax to the government. And a lot of people are involved in those companies. Then who can apply for assistance? The question we have is, you have been in business for at least 2 years. Your companies, as mentioned, for a small, medium enterprise is between 10 and 250 employees. And that's very important. You are committed when an expert comes over to be fully involved during this PAM project. And not only on the ground when an expert visits your company, but also in a remote coaching, what we do afterwards, let's say follow-up services. You don't have the resources to hire a commercial consultant, or that can be there. You have a very specific problem where you have need a detailed specialist for or expertise, and which could be available and present in the Dutch, in the pool of the expert of PAM. And the last one and the main driver is you are making progress in your company, but you have faced problems to make the next step, but feel there is much more to gain. Next, please. So how does it work then? An expert is coming over for a first advisory mission, and that's about 2 weeks. And then this expert will work with you and leaves practical recommendation for you to follow up. And then when you come home, as I did from January, I'm still in contact with the farms I visit in the Eastern Cape, on how things are going and if they run in new problems and how they could solve them. And you could ask that you say, this worked well and helped me a lot, and I would like to request you another time to come over, or for this very detailed and special item, I would like to have a specialist on that matter to come over. And it's also a possibility that you say, well, how you do it in the Netherlands, you're well developed in agricultural business. It would help me when I come over to the Netherlands and to visit such companies. Okay. There are costs involved. And if you as an applicant want to see an expert coming over, you have to take care for the board and lodging, and if necessary, an interpreter to translate to English, and also the transport from the company to the guest house or the boarding house where the expert will stay. PAM always pays for the airplane tickets, the insurance, travel costs to your company, and the visa cost and other expenses. If after a visit you come to the conclusion this has been working very well and I would like to have this expert come over another time, then PAM will ask you to contribute to a share to cover the cost for that. Next one. So we convinced that we bring added value for the company you can't involved, which can't pay for advice on a commercial basis. The money isn't there. PAM can help there. We do have a network in your country as well with the people I mentioned, with the representatives and the country coordinators, and they have in there. And then the next block is the knowledge and expertise. Within PAM, there are a lot of experts, almost 2,000, in all kind of fields. And so we can share internally also questions and answers to certain problem. And we are not fixed in knowledge, and because we are a learning organization as well. And then for you as a company in your local environment, you will be able to employ people and to develop on a local matter. And that we think that will generate more welfare, well-being in your direct environment. We do this already over 40 years, and we did realize over 45,000 missions till today. Next one, please. Here's a short overview where we work in what countries. We are all over the globe, and more in the, to a lesser extent, developed countries. Next one, you can see the countries coming in, and also South Africa at the bottom line. You see we're active there as well, and we've done there quite a lot amount of missions over there as well. Next, please. Then for my personal experience, as I told you, I've been a managing director in a vegetable seed breeding company for over 30 years. I've been to South Africa four times. I did 4 missions over there. I did help an organic vegetable production company in the Gauteng area. And in January, as I said, I visited 2 citrus farms in the Eastern Cape. And on my way back to Holland, I had the opportunity to visit one of the agri-clusters just mentioned in the Joburg area, where I did visit Eichenhof, the cluster. Next, please. I focus a little bit on Eichenhof now, and I share some pictures with you in one slide. At the top left, you see an overview on the greenhouses there at Eichenhof. I must say it was state-of-the-art work. It looks very modern and very good. Next to the right, you see a crop in such a tunnel with the black lines, with irrigation lines, with hydroponic system as mentioned. but facing diseases as well. The next one to the right, you see a cucumber crop all covered with mildew, a heavy disease in the cucumbers, where I had the idea that there is a lack of, disease knowledge within the group of ladies working there, and which should be prevented by our spraying system. Our resistant varieties as they are there as well. It's not only tunnel production over there. If you go to the bottom line to the left, you see ladies outside, that's open field vegetable crops, and further in the fields you see some bigger agricultural crops. What I did focus as well, when we arrived there, I saw 2 brand new massive Ferguson tracks, state of the art. But if I went in the building, I saw this pile of fertilizers back stored over there, not used for a long time, and that's a pity. And also the lady said to me that the pump was broken, so they had difficulties to use their fertilizer irrigation system. That's a pity. We had a meeting with the ladies involved, and we went over a discussion how things were going and how they did experience it. And what I noticed, and must say, it's a one-day visit. I can tell you about the bigger picture, just what I saw over there, that most of the ladies did have a tunnel for themselves, which where they grew their crops in, and there was not much collaboration together. Then, so if you go to the next sheet, Beulah, and to this next one, please. Can you hear me? Next sheet.
I can hear you, but for some reason it's not moving to the next slide.
Oh, that's a pity.
Okay.
There it is. My general conclusion and what I saw on Iconov, it's an enormous potential. Money has been spent to set up nice facilities over there, but what was very remarkable for me is that everybody works on its own, and there's a need for focus on much more organization in the activities. I said to the ladies, why don't you specialize, that someone is a specialist in the cucumbers, another one is doing tomatoes or sweet pepper, and do a crop rotation within those tunnels. And that was new for them. So it's clear that the tasks and responsibilities should be redefined to come to a much higher production level. As Mr. Modlacchio Makebe says as well, there is a limit production, but that shouldn't be, it can't be a limitation if you take care of it in the way of organization and hiring expertise outside, or building it up, with scholarships for young people to step in agriculture. What I did focus as well, talking with them, it was, I didn't have the idea they had a clear approach to how to access the markets. Of course, there you have those hawkers over there, but they earn the most part of the money, and the money should be earned by those clusters themselves. I would be eager to come back and to see what if things could be changed together with the government department. But and now we all face COVID-19, and hope you all stay very well and healthy. But also from PAM side, remote coaching will be possible. Next sheet, please. Concluding working with us is to apply for advice. Here you see the website of PAM in the Netherlands. But also you can contact Beulah Masope being more informed and to apply for a possible expert to come over to your side. Brings me to the last sheet, Beulah. Then I want to thank you for attention, and I put some marks in which way to direct the direction has to go to contact PAM. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hank, for your wonderful presentation. And I would like to remind everyone that you can still post your questions on the Q&A tab, and we will respond to them and also provide the panelists an opportunity to expand on some of the questions at the end. And I must say, Hank, it was lovely hosting you when you came out to South Africa. I learned a lot just spending the day with you. So for anyone who's in the farming space, I can assure you that time spent with Hank is definitely worth it for your business. With that, I would like to move on to the next presenter, one of the young people that are backing the trend and have sought to grow their own opportunities within agriculture. And with that, I would like to welcome Mo Mulimi, known as a rapper by most and for his talents in the music space. But today he'll be sharing with us his exploits in the agriculture space. Over to you, Mo. Do we have Mo on?
I can see that he's connected. He's in the session. I've just asked him to unmute as well as to allow us to see his video. So I'm just waiting for him to connect.
Okay. I think whilst we wait for Mo to share with us his perspective as a young entrepreneur, it's quite interesting, looking at where we started with the outline by Dr. Ngwenya on the different opportunities that we have in agriculture. When you look at what, from a policy perspective, what public sector is doing, and with the presentation from Hank, which speaks to your agriculture extension and advisory services, you start to see how the different parts fit in the whole agriculture space to make it more successful. And so I believe that as you are all listening, you're taking notes as to how these different parts are going to add some success to your businesses. And if you have questions, again, please post them so that the panelists will have an opportunity to address your questions and provide more advice. I see Mo has joined us, so I will hand over to him. Welcome, Mo.
Welcome. Afternoon, Beulah. Afternoon, all the participants and everybody else who's on the webinar. Just loading my presentation now. I'm hoping everything will go well. My name is Motlapele Morule. I am a farmer. I am a music entrepreneur and general just business guy. Okay, just bear with me now. Is my presentation on?
Not yet. Are you screen sharing?
Yeah.
Okay, let's give it a bit of time. It will load.
Share.
It's coming up.
Okay.
Click on slideshow. It seems to be static.
Yeah.
That's better.
Good afternoon, everybody again. My name is Motlapele Morule, better known as Mo Mulimi. Just a bit of background. I born in the 80s in the Northwest. Attended school in Rustenburg, and post high school, I followed two careers. One, I started earlier in my life in the mid-90s as a musician because I just happened to have been growing up in a family of musicians like that. So we started a rap group along with the Double HPs, the Duxes, the Kulichanas, and yeah, and to today we have made a lot of success. But because I was raised on the farm on the family farm, in 2003 I decided to take on agriculture, and because I could see the potential in agriculture going forward, I developed this brand of Mulimi, which in Setswana means farmer, and hence have the payoff line there, Back Wild, from our farm, Bakang Farm, and the hip hop moniker of Back Wild. Like I say, in 2007, I got my first record deal with EMI, which was a big record deal at that time, and had a big single there where we were nominated for Summer Awards in 2008. But it happened to be in the same year, in the same time, I was already farming, when I had already started farming with my dad in 2003 in Ramatlabama, where I was producing vegetables for hawkers and for choppies and other informal traders. From 2004, 2005, I started training. I've got a lot of training from institutions such as Green South Africa, Jucris, Busha Academy, Dikla Farming, Department of Agriculture, Petro Goats, and ARC Animal Production. In 2009, I was also very fortunate to get an internship with Croy Farms in Breads, which is a commercial breeder chicken farm, producing about close to 2 million chickens a cycle. Through Croy Farms, I was exposed to the broader value chain, the commercial side of agriculture, and what it insists. In 2011, I won the SAB Kickstart, which enabled me to acquire hydroponic tunnels for myself, which I started operating in Ramatlabama at home. Unfortunately, it was blown down by a storm, so that got cut short, but I was still continuing to produce. In 2014, I also got an opportunity to work as a procurement manager and a farmer trainer in the Free State, where I was procuring vegetables and meat for prisons and hospitals on behalf of Campus Group, which is a catering company there. So based on all these experiences, I established my own company in 2014 called Arable Parable Pty, which is a planting, processing, and retailing company focusing on vegetables. This is the space where we produce. We produce in half a hectare under shade net and about 2 hectares in the open. Mainly we produce spinach because of our market, but because we need to do soil rotation, we also produce onions, tomatoes, cabbage, beetroot, peppers, and recently we've been doing trials on potatoes with the help of ARC. On our production cycle, we use a lot of chemicals like chemical fertilizers and NPKs. We use chemical herbicides and pesticides, which in the future I would like to change to move more to organic. Hopefully Hank will help here. Hink, wink, Hank. And then, yeah, I work with about 10 young people. 3 of them are graduates from the Taung College of Agriculture, and 1 of them is a graduate from the University of the Northwest, which add a lot of value to what I'm trying to produce. This is part of the crop that I produced this year. We produced a few tons of jam tomato. Most of it we sold it to our various markets where we have demand. This is where now we add value by packaging under my brand, which is quite popular, especially back home where I'm operating from. Then some of the produce, we process it further in collaboration with a sister friend of mine, Gauteng, who makes tomato jam, tomato puree, and tomato chili sauce. So in the future, we'll bottle it professionally and hope we can distribute it. Yeah, part and parcel of what we do on our fields. As you can see here, we work on a 2-hectare open field. We use sprinklers and flood irrigation, which is not enough. We use a converted shipping container as a processing unit. We sell mainly around the Mahike local municipality, which is rural, but it's sufficient. And whatever else we procure from the Johannesburg market. I'm happy to have heard from Mr. Mutlacho. Maybe from now I'll start procuring directly from the Agri Hub in the West End, which is a good connect. Here is our processing unit with the young people who work on the farm. This is our stock before we start packing for our markets. This is some of our product offer packaged under my brand. As you can see, we make it colorful because we have to compete with the Pick n Pays and the Woolies of this world. So we're always trying to bring up the quality of our packs, making sure that hygiene and all the other requirements are met. I think I have seen my music grow to be a marketing venue for avenue for my fresh produce. That means it's almost like a business plan. Those who follow my music also buy my produce, and it's almost like a business plan in audio. Here you see how we have tried to bring an innovation to our packaging because we're competing in a very high-tech world. Part of the innovations I've brought is writing some of my lyrics on my packs, which my fans like a lot, but we always maintain that the produce is fresh and it's good. As you can see, it's cauliflower, broccoli here. These are some of the vegetable hampers I pack for NGOs who do hampers for impoverished communities and so on. So they hire me to pack for them, and which is a good business on my side. Here we have brought a little bit of an innovation where we have developed our own informal structures where we can sell. As you can see, these are foldable crates which we have built the stands, and we are able to put at street corners in the township, and we can sell our produce that way, and it has proven to be very effective. What are the challenges that we are facing in our business? It might be our approach, maybe it might be the environment itself. Let's see. The biggest approach challenges we have, most of them Mr. Motlacho had already spoken to, access to land. There's a big challenge of land in South Africa. As you can know, most of the land is occupied by commercial farmers. The rural land has no control as such, and it's very difficult to access it. Where there's rural land available, there's a problem with water, accessing running water and so on. There's always a lack of technical support from extension officers and technical know-how for those who are interested in the business. The biggest challenge that I personally have is the lack of finance. We have limited access to banks because we have no security of land tenure. The state assistance is very limited and reaches only a few of us, which can be very frustrating in the farming business. We're also faced with high cost of production, especially for small and medium businesses, because the large businesses get discounts on the volumes they buy. But when we get to the market, we compete on the same prices, which makes it very difficult to survive as a medium and small business, especially in vegetables in our space. We also have a challenge with access to prime markets like supermarkets because of the stringent conditions placed on producers to enter those markets in terms of pack houses, trucks that are covered, and all the other nitty-gritties that most medium-sized or small-sized businesses cannot reach. We also have a problem accessing state contracts because they also need big resources to get hospital, prisons, school, markets, and so on. The last that I've highlighted is the social challenges. Of course, most of our people suffer from diseases like HIV, high blood pressures, and generally all of it, it's from the backbone of the poverty that we experience in our society that really affects our markets and even our labor force. One that I keep the crime. Crime is a big problem, especially with livestock, even with vegetables and crops. As from the time, I hope my internet is okay. As from the time of the COVID, we decided to change our business model and started to do home deliveries using online services or social media. As you can see, this is my advert, and this is one response from one of my clients. If I can read quickly here, it says, I made an order at 1:45. By 1:30, it was delivered on my doorstep. Thanks for the speedy response and excellent service. So technology has also come in aid to help us broaden our market and finding new ways to be competitive in the market. This is some of our product offer. I'm also going into oil pressing and other food brands as I'm trying to expand my business into a retail space where it will be a one-stop shop like a supermarket for my product. So my vision has always been to grow beyond primary production processing, but also to get directly to my customers as a retailer. So this is where the business is right now. We have a small shop in Mafikeng that we are operating, and hopefully we'll grow into a franchise in years to come. Well, in the end, that's the short and long of my business. I am hoping that from this interaction, I will make new friends who can help, especially Hank from the production side, but also Mr. Motlajo from the marketing and distribution side of our business, value adding, and hopefully I can take Backwile to the future and make it a commercial enterprise in the next 5 to 10 years. With that, thank you.
That was a great presentation. Thank you, Mo. And Hank, if you can unmute your mic, I think there's a challenge that has been thrown your way. What do you think of Mo's business presentation?
Second, I have to unmute. Am I unmute now?
Yes, I can
hear you. Yeah, we can hear you, Hank.
Okay. Well, that was a very nice presentation, Mo. And I was almost attached to your lips to get every word well.
Thank you.
I see you did already, you took your steps already into branding. That's a good one. You have a nice branding, good sign of it, well developed. And then, I noticed also, even when you develop things rather well, that your access to the market stays still difficult.
Yes.
It's not that easy to come to the market, and I think this is a bigger issue, and that's an issue. It's very hard to solve it yourself, and you have to solve it with other farmers, people, to set up things together. Otherwise, you're more or less bound to the hawkers, who take their price from it and take the margin you need to continue. And another thing you mentioned, and that's not that easy, Mo, if you want to change to organic, and I love you saying so, but that's not that easy, because you talk about crop rotation. That's one thing, that's an obligation, but you will need some manure still. So you have to have cattle around your company to collect the manure, and that is also to be in the Netherlands. It's another way because there are so much farmers and cattle farmers. There's no problem to get the manure from 10 kilometers further. But in South Africa, that's a different ballgame. And then,
if I was to interject here, Hank, look, where we are, it's a farm area. Even myself, I have cattle. So we have no shortage of cattlemen here. It's just the skill of how to do organic and get it certified and make sure that we are doing it right. So the methodology is what we are lacking.
Yeah, okay.
I think what we will do definitely is get you in touch with Pumo and explore what kind of partnership can be most useful to you. But thank you very much for that, and Hank, for your response. We have some questions, and just a reminder before I go into the questions, if you have any questions from any of the panelists, please post them under the Q&A tab. So we can then facilitate the answering. Mutlajo, if you can unmute your mic, there was a question from Veronica who wanted to know what is happening around rabbit farming. Is there any project that is looking at rabbit farming in the province? And I see. Okay, that is it. Okay, for you, Mutlajo, is just on the rabbit farming, and the Tando Matutu, we note your question on you would like to know locations of the citrus farms. We will provide you that information. But Mutlajo, if you can just share, is there any developments to look at rabbit farming in Gauteng?
Yes, Bula, we are. Oh, sorry. We have. I've mentioned the 5 priority commodities, but over and above that, we have commodities which we call niche commodities. For example, aquaculture is one of those. Rabbit farming is one of those that we are looking at. So essentially, we are responsive to what the market need, what the consumers need. And if they are interested producers, we are looking at all avenues wherein we can be able to develop entrepreneurs that can be successful, because those conventional 5 priority commodities that I've mentioned require a lot of input and resources for one to start and be successful. So if you look at rabbit farming, for example, I'm sure the entry requirements or the entry resources might not be so much high.
Okay, we seem to be struggling to hear Mutlajo.
Yeah.
Okay, Mutlajo, if you can provide.
Exploring those. So
okay, you're back. Mutlajo, your sound was off a bit.
Also, yeah. My network at work, I don't know, it's letting me down every time.
Okay.
I thought it would be, yes. Yeah,
okay, so there is rabbit farming that you are looking at. What we'll do, we'll also just connect the person. It was Veronica. For more information, she can get in touch with your office. Is that all right?
Yes, as I was saying, is that these are kind of commodities that we don't like regular requests for. So we kind of then respond when there are those
as and when
that are interested, and then we see how we can assist them under our niche markets program. So we can liaise with Vero.
Okay, super. All right. Becky, you asked the question, will we share the presentations? Yes, we can share the presentations with you. We will also just download, we're recording this webinar, and we will then make it available online as well. I would like to just go back to the panelists. we all looked at, what are the different players within the development trajectory of agriculture and who plays what role. But in all of this, at the end of the day, it's about ensuring that as a country, we are able to sustain ourselves and be able to trade from an agriculture perspective. And so I would like to, ask Dr. Ngwenya, from her perspective in terms of what agri-preneurship opportunities are presented and through partnership, what can be achieved. When she looks out over the next 10 years, we've got the SDGs, but also as a country, we've got the National Development Plan, which boldly wants to pull people out of poverty. And agriculture is one of the sectors through which this is aimed to be done. Of course, COVID has put a dent in a lot of the targets that we aim for, but 2030 is not going to shift. It will still remain. And so from her perspective, how does she see the role of agri-preneurship and her role from a development consultant perspective in us being able to achieve those development and growth targets we set ourselves for the next 10 years?
Thank you so much, Beulah. If I may share that screen again so that, okay. So I want to speak a lot, to this screen that I shared, especially at the beginning of my talk, when I said, when I look at South Africa, we have 3 worlds in one country. We have the first world, we have the second world, and we have the third world. And I really appreciate, the initiatives that we are seeing and all that, which helped, to bridge, this knowledge gap. However, when we want to be as inclusive as possible, I still feel that we need to develop, different strategies for different clientele. So for example, as I indicated that I've done some assignment in more than 45 countries overall. So what I see is that there are a lot of, different models of, innovations in agriculture. Surely there are models that really need a lot of, financial input. For example, when I look at what was presented by our colleague from Gauteng Department, the agri-parks, it really needs a lot of, financial injection to be able to do that, which is very great. But it can also address a certain, portion or certain level of our population. What I see in other African countries, for example, I see that a lot of innovations, there are a lot of innovations that are not so much heavy on, financial, injection and all that. So there are different ways of, engaging. So what I think my role is to create, that awareness of what other innovations are there, also entrepreneurial, skills and all that. And I think that is one thing that I see as a gap between the majority of, our youth, where they will always, maybe not always, in most cases, wait and want, more, support from government and all that, which is different from what I see in other African countries where, entrepreneurial skills are inborn, probably because of, the nature and the political landscape that we see. So I see the issue of exposure will become very critical, where people can actually be exposed to see what other people are doing with limited resources. And hopefully once you see that and you see the amount of resources that we have in our country, then that it will help to leverage that entrepreneurial skill that is needed to run with the support that we have. And I would like to commend our government as well. As I said, that I've worked in many countries, the support that our government is actually giving, it's enormous. It's enormous. So all we need is to really have, that self-driven entrepreneurial, skills of our young people and take advantage of the support that we have. So in a nutshell, that is what I can say. And there are a lot of, opportunities for exposure along the perfect, continuum. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Mutlajo, you next. You have presented the elaborate plans that you have as a province in developing and supporting small-scale farmers. Over the next 10 years, what is your view as to where will we be as far as the contribution of the provincial government in supporting the development growth of small-scale farmers?
Well, our focus is to build inclusive value chains. I've mentioned those 5 priority value chains, and by doing so, we aiming to ensure that we integrate, in particular, the youth. We often say that agriculture is comprised of the elderly, and I want to congratulate more and really it's an exemplary. So we need more of his age group to really come on board. We have a social dynamic challenge, high unemployment rate. So sometimes when we make investments as a department, you find that the elderly. And thanks, Hank, for going via Eikenhof Agri-Park. So you would have found the elderly there predominantly, because when the department had aimed to allocate the place to the young people, the elderly were the ones who were really at the forefront, and they were farming in the vicinity and really pushed the department to be allocated the space. But our target really is to develop the young entrepreneurs, agripreneurs, who will take us into the future, and who will then be able to understand the full value chain and take us into fully integrated, fully inclusive agricultural value chains. So that is our aim. We want to build inclusive value chains and short as well supply chains. As I've indicated, we have learned through particularly this COVID that the current value chains, to some extent, don't do much service benefits to the linkages. There are linkages that we have been ignoring. For example, direct linkage between our small farmers and the informal traders, the hawkers, the budget distributors. We have been gunning and fighting for a space at the fresh produce market when we could just strengthen that linkage between the small farmers and the informal trader or the budget distributor. So that is what we are focusing on. So short supply chains and also addressing the issues of the youth integration and building solid value chains that are also leveraging on state procurement, as we are one of the major procurers of food in the country. So we want to leverage more on that particular spend to benefit as much youth enterprises as we can. So that is more the future and the way and the way forward. We've got 2 key strategies that we're utilizing. One is called the Gauteng overarching strategy, which to some extent talks to everything that I was saying. But we also have an agro-processing specific strategy that aims to ensure that we benefit, we put much inputs into value adding, and we leverage from the benefits that come from value-added products. So those are the documents that we are able to share with anyone who's interested in reading them and getting more info directly. And as I indicated towards the end of my presentation, there are challenges of resources, inadequate resources. There's also challenges of social issues, crimes that take all the investment back. Overall, I think we are making good progress with what we're seeing at the moment, and we could still do with partnerships to benefit of everyone. Thank you.
Great. And but before you move on, there is a question from Tumelo. He would like to know how do they partner with solution to farmers to part of market access? How do they work with departments for technology to be available to your emerging farmers in the agri-park? Did you get my question? Okay. Melo, we will get the answer for you from Mutlacho and send it directly to you. Thank you, Mutlacho. Hank, as a senior expert advisor with what you know and what you've heard today, the next 10 years for POM, what do they look like and how do you see the role of POM in the whole agriculture development for South Africa? Hank, can you hear me?
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Okay. I can hear you now. Yeah. So go ahead. Share with us from a POM perspective over the next 10 years as a country. We look at agriculture, the development of people, as taking people out of poverty and getting more young in the agriculture space. How do you see POM's role within that?
As I wanted to say, POM is primarily focused on a specific company or organization to help them. We are not political parties with the overall development of the country in the agricultural way or in other ways. What I've seen so far and expect for the future, what will be a chance, because there are a lot of initiatives going on, and the problems described by the speakers are clear, but it's all about people. And people have to trust each other. And that's something I noticed, that you can develop yourself as a company or a group or an organization. But it's absolutely necessary that there is trust. And that's something that has to be developed, and that can be developed in smaller communities, smaller enterprises, where I have an example from the Netherlands, and that's not only in the Netherlands, that's cooperatives, where people, farmers, work together to become a bigger unit, which makes more things possible. Because a lot of things I heard also in my missions is financial problems. We're not big enough to go to the bank and ask for a loan. So my idea is to the future, and I hope that will happen, is to come together, make groups, make cooperatives, and trust each other.
Thank you, Hank. And Mo, last but not least, you've shared a great perspective of from a young farmer perspective and what you've gone through to get where you are. You see opportunities for growth for yourself and other young people?
Certainly, agriculture is a space to be right now. I've looked at opportunities in Namibia, Botswana, and north of our borders, and even locally, all food substances, we have great opportunity to expand. So my vision is to build my brand into a market for smaller farmers going forward, so that we are able to occupy, especially in urban spaces and rural spaces, where we can give a product of fresh food to people who need it the most. So I'm very optimistic about the future. In the next 10 years, we are hoping to build a multi-million rand organization.
Awesome, and I definitely am looking forward to seeing that beautiful brand of yours. The one thing I will say as we wrap up this session is that when I saw your brand, I must say it looks like a brand that can definitely go global. I'm certain, and the panelists will agree with me on that one. And so, ladies and gentlemen, first I must thank our panelists for making their time and expertise available for this webinar today. Greatly appreciated, and I'm certain our participants, our attendees, will be able to pick up some nuggets from what you presented. We got quite a number of comments and questions coming in. A lot of people are interested in information from the Agri Park, for GDARD, who can participate, whom support in terms of food and vegetable farmers. All of this we will come back to you and link you up with the respective panelists or organization for you to get further information that will assist you in your quest. And of course, to our attendees, thank you for making the time to come and participate. I must say, I've seen more of a stable participation. Normally these webinars, people come in and go, but we've had a very sturdy participation from beginning right to the end. And so I just want to communicate my gratitude to our attendees, and I look forward to future participation as we get into the space of using online engagement as a new tool to engage business development, for learning and growth. And so I'm certain I'll see you again on this platform to further unpack the different areas of agri-preneurship. With that, people, thank you very much for your time today. We will share the recorded webinar with you, but that will be within the next day or two. So be patient with us, but we definitely will share the information and link up with the three organizations for you to follow up on some of your areas of interest. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.